In our interviews, Mariah told a story that she's kind of been hinting at for a long time. It's a long story, it's a funny story, it's not a huge deal. It's basically about how some weed brownies almost convinced her that the song Breakdown wasn't working. So here's that story.
So first of all, I feel like I owe it to Butterfly 25 and to the fans, to the lambily specifically, to say that every song on this album pretty much is my favorite. Like there was a whole thing yesterday where it was like, on Twitter where people were going back and forth about like ranking the songs and rating the favorites. And, it's hard because I feel like there are so many different types of records on this album, but it all fits together in a very specific and deliberate way. And so, okay, to get to the story, there's so many stories around this album that it's tough. But as my son would say, that's tough. So I got to tell you this story. Let me get settled and situated here before I do that. Brian, are you prepared for it takes a minute, and I don't know, you may have to edit around it because I don't know how much clarity I have on the actual events that transpired. But so
Settled and I'm ready.
So there were a couple incidents. Let me put this in. There were a couple incidents where I was recording. Okay, it's this two-part story. First of all, the session for the Breakdown record, when Bone Thugs-n-Harmony came to the studio to hear what I had done, was its own smoke fest, as one would imagine. And it was also where I really connected and clicked with Crazy Bone because he was such a genius in the way he did his rhyme singing. Like he really paved the way for so many other artists.
Yes.
And it wasn't a studio trick. It wasn't an auto-tune moment. It was him friggin' speed rapping like nobody else, on pitch, in key, the whole time. So it was like I was very inspired by Notorious Thugs, the record. And then our version became like a more of a less minor and dark, and became more of clearly still inspired by that record, but a different thing melodically and in terms of the chords and such. But anyway, when I went to do my vocals prior to the Smoke Fest session, which I couldn't be a part of, that's sort of where we have to preface this.
Right.
I could be there and possibly or possibly not be getting a contact. I don't know who couldn't in that session. It was a Bone Thugs-n-Harmony recording session. You're not coming in and out of the little It's a Small World ride at Disneyland. It's a moment, right? It was a moment. But when I recorded my vocals for that song, for Breakdown, after I wrote them, mind you, I took a long time to try to, because I knew I wanted to work with Bone Thugs-n-Harmony, and I guess at that time Puff had reached out to them and to their manager Steve Lobel, who I think is still with them, who's just one of the nicest guys ever. Anyway, I digress much of the time. Anyway, I'm trying to avoid getting the actual story, but anyway. So I went to Florida. I went to a certain place in Florida with a couple people, and because I was trying to break away every chance that I could during the recording process. So as I did, I recorded as I still do, recorded my vocals with just me and my engineer. And at that time I was working with Dana John Chappelle, who still is an incredible guy, someone I really, really loved the years working with him. And, it probably was not the easiest session for him because he wasn't used to me doing that rhythmic sort of, because my parts are clearly inspired by Bone. And,
right.
and not, they hadn't done their parts yet, but I had, already had the City Breaking Me on Down. I had those parts and, the chorus written for the most part, but that also is, a different cadence than my typical thing. Or at least I had done stuff similar to that, but maybe of one little part, not a whole section, right? So I spent a long time trying to perfect it and get it right and layer it and do all the things. And I had this assistant at the time who shall remain nameless. I had 2 assistants, and that's what I really need right now. Please, somebody come help me. Can I get it? Another. I mean, I love my assistant that is working with me, but she needs an assistant. So, looking, please, somebody. You can grow within the job. Anyway, but you got to spend a lot of time with me, so that there's that. But anyway, so this girl was very much into creations with cannabis. And she loved a brownie making, which had foiled me in the past because I'm just not good with that. Like, it's one story if you're in Amsterdam and you go and have a space cake or whatever. Like, for some reason that doesn't do what the brownie thing did to me twice. And I should have learned after the first time, which is a whole nother story. Happened during the music box era. And one day I'll tell that story, but because that's worse. But so this, I was, again, after I finished my session, we were going to go out to dinner. So it's me, a female director that was there, who shall remain nameless, and these other 2 women who I worked with. We're all like early 20s, whatever, and or 20s, and so she had made these brownies, and she was a weed head. Like, she was every day, she was a smoker, and I was the one like, I can't with my voice. So she's like, no, but I'll make you these brownies, dude, and it'll be great. So I'm like, okay. Totally forgot that I had a brownie, right? And we went to this restaurant, and like by the time we finished eating, is this going on too long? You're gonna have to edit this because
no, I'm good. Go.
All right, so we're like, everything is normal, but then I'm at the restaurant. I'm like, oh, I forgot I had like one of the brownies prior to going to the restaurant, right? And we're sitting there and we're having the best time. But I was having some red wine. I am not encouraging anyone at home to do this, okay? Don't do this, please. Okay, but because I couldn't smoke, like normally the smokers would just smoke and then eat and they're done and they go to sleep. But the brownie and the strength that she made this freaking brownie was not. Also my tolerance is super low because I can't smoke. So anyway, I'm there and I'm drinking wine, and all of a sudden somebody asks for my autograph, and they're like staring at me. And at this point, I was at a very specific point in my people knew who I was, right? So I was like, why are they looking at me? And suddenly I'm like my high school self, like, what the bleep? What are they looking at? Why? Like, so like suddenly I'm like ready to fight. Like, and they're like, no, they're just like a family. They want your autograph. And I'm like, okay, because they're all high as well, but they're just used to it. And so I wasn't used to being out in public, like a celebrity or whatever you want to call it, and having that situation. So then I'm like, okay guys, like, I'm leaving this restaurant. We're alone in the restaurant other than the family that came over, and it was really weird to me because I was like, why do they want a picture with me? I don't know, it just did something to me where I didn't like realize the fame thing, because normally I'm just like, of course I take a picture with whoever wants one, and of course I do whatever, but that moment with the brownie thing did not help. So I get in the car, and I had, I was like, you guys just I'm going to ride alone and listen to what I did today, because I just need to like calm down. I don't think the brownie and the wine thing was a good idea. So I put on, it wasn't the final, obviously, but it was what I had done in the studio. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is the worst thing I've ever heard. Why am I singing so fast? This sounds crazy. I was sitting there like, I thought I had just wasted an entire session and an entire trip to Florida to record this thing. And I was like, what did I do? This is so not good. And it was obviously not how I feel about it now. It's one of my favorite records from that album. But it was that old brownie that did it to me, and that I had forgotten I took. So long story short, we go back to the hotel. All the other people are having fun, and I'm like, no, this is not good. Like, I wasted a day, you guys. This isn't good, and plus I don't feel good. Like, what's going on? And they're all like, the director girl is over in the corner going like this is making it worse, because she's like in her own little moment, like pretending to be, I don't know what she was doing with a crystal ball, pretending to like, I don't even know, I don't want to get into her thing, but like, and then everybody else is having fun, and I'm like, no, I wasted my time. This song is not gonna be good. What am I gonna do? It's so weird. I'm singing so fast. I hate this, and I'm by myself having my own flip out fest. I'm like, you guys, I don't know. Maybe I have to go. Like, maybe we have to go to the. I don't know. Maybe we have to go somewhere, and someone has to help me with this. So I'm like, who do I know that may or may not ever have had a brownie with accoutrements in it? So I called Q-Tip, and I'm like, told him the story, and he's like, okay, first of all, don't go anywhere. Go sit down, leave everybody else alone, put on such and such, this record that we both used to listen to that would make us laugh and whatever. And he's like, go listen to that and go to sleep. And I'm like, okay, cool. And that's what happened. And then the next day I was like, oh my gosh, I love this record and I can't wait to put Bone Thugs on it. But it almost, I guess I might have, I don't know if I was gonna, I mean, look, clearly I wasn't making any firm decisions in that moment. But yeah, that's the breakdown story.
There we go.
Now I feel like I built it up so hard that people are like, what? Who cares that you didn't think it was good? But I literally thought the record was like a total disaster. So to all the fans of Breakdown, we made it. We made it.